Well, look, I don't think this is turmoil. They've been there 20 years. You think you're going to be the one that goes in there and change the way things are done?
Right.
Like, you join the military and you're surprised you got to go fight? Like, you know what you're getting into when you go to New England. Like, what did you expect? You have to play a role. Is that shocking? Your brother was there. You have to play a role. And if you play the role well, you get more playing time. If you don't play the role well, then you get less playing time. It's a meritocracy. Nobody cares what you did in Seattle or Tampa Bay or how they did business. That's not how business is done there. So you go, you take your lumps, you're gone for a week. They pick up $400,000 in the cap or whatever it is for his salary, and you decide whether or not you want to come back and do things the right way or whether or not you want to keep trying to fight a system that nobody's won against, and you're not going to win against either.
Are you surprised that it was a suspension and not an outright release?
No, not at all. It makes sense.
Yes.
Look at his comments after it happened.
He was very conciliatory.
Yeah, sometimes you're surprised when someone actually follows through on a threat that they make. You're surprised that when there's discipline at a place and the punishment that they say they're going to do is handed out. And that's a little bit of a wake-up call. You know, it happens all the time where, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and you never do it. So what do you learn? You learn that you can do whatever you want.
On this show, man, I tell a lot of stories of Dennis Green, and I have a great deal of respect for him. But Dennis Green used to tell us, like, you don't have to be happy here. Everyone's not happy doing their job. I'm not here to make you happy, but I'm going to give you an assignment, all right? And the number one way for you to make me happy is by doing your assignment. And most people in business and in sports, they're not happy, and especially the most accomplished players, they're not happy because they've had success doing it a certain way. And Dennis Green told us, if you want your role to increase on this team, you better master what I tell you to do. That's the only way, compared to complaining about what I asked you to do. Master what I told you to do, and then you got a chance for your role to increase. So for me, I'm not surprised at all. I'm more surprised because they suspended him that it came out public, but this is not the first disagreement. I mean, they got plenty of guys in New England's locker room that believe like other guys. It's just how they handle things, and the players know. They realize there are no idle threats there. When they tell you something and you don't abide by it, being suspended lets you know that there's multiple occurrences of things that they don't agree with. Because typically, your first time being released, it's not on the first
time suspended.
First time. It typically.
It's usually not.
Not unless it's a physical altercation.
Right. It's usually not there was one blow up, unless the blow up, to your point, gets way over the top. It was building to this moment.
This is a great defense. This is what we've talked about all season long. How much do they need Michael Bennett?
Look across the board. Multiple guys have sacks. Multiple guys have quarterback pressures, and it's from a lot of different positions. It's not just the defensive line. This isn't a system that says, okay, you're here to rush the passer. That's not how this works. You're here to play football in the context of the game plan. So if that means you hit the ball carrier as he comes out and it slows down your pass rush, that's what you do. If you got to drop in coverage, that's what you do. You do whatever you're supposed to do to make sure that all 11 guys within the system work. And if you don't want to do that and you want to go operate as an independent contractor, fantastic.
That's what got Jamie Collins cut the first time in New England.
Yeah, and then he went and he was an independent contractor and realized, hey, this isn't that great.
And that is, Chris, you took the words out of my head. Jamie Collins, when he got sent to Cleveland, statistically was, just from the raw counting stats, quarterback pressures, hurries, sacks. He was the most productive defender on New England. But if New England clearly felt, okay, his production is coming at the expense of what we're trying to accomplish. He is worried about getting his plays rather than having the team make the play. So they sent him in exile to Cleveland. He then, first opportunity, came back to New England, and he has been exceptional. And this is the part that I think a lot of people, it is hard to recognize from a football viewing perspective, that it is not every defensive lineman's job on every play to try to sack the quarterback. It might, right? I mean, I think some people watch it, it's like, well, if he's just, it's not like, no one's accusing Michael Bennett of not trying hard. You know what I mean? That's not, it appears to be the accusation. It's, he wasn't playing his role in in pursuit of potentially what he feels like his job should be, go get the quarterback, it could be undercutting what the defense is trying to do on that specific play, correct?
Yeah, and look, we spend so much time apologizing for bad behavior, apologizing for underperforming talent, apologizing for guys worried about their brand as opposed to the team. And if you look at it, this is the right way to do things. And it works in college football, too. Look at Alabama. When you have a commitment to the right principles that win football games and are willing to work for the greater good, you've got a chance every single week. And is it hard? It's really hard. Is it hard in this environment where everybody is in the look at me mentality? Yeah, it's really hard, but they're doing it the right way. And if you go there and you sign up for that, you shouldn't be surprised when you're held to that standard.
Well, and the one other thing you mentioned that if he doesn't get along, if you're New England way or the highway, so to speak, that they don't need him. To me, there's one player on the defense right now that if they lost him, it would demonstrably change what they're trying to do, and that's Gilmore. I think Collins and Hightower would be the next two on the list, but because you have one and the other, losing one of them wouldn't be devastating. I think losing Gilmore would be devastating to what they're trying to do, and I know, listen, next man up, I get it, but there is the level at which he's played since he's gotten there, he has been critically important. There is not a single player on that defensive line that is anywhere close to irreplaceable. Even the most talented and accomplished player in Michael Bennett. And Chris, on this point, I thought you brought up a really interesting one, which is he doesn't have the resume that typically comes into New England.
No. He doesn't. Typically, guys have never won before they've gotten there.
He's won and he's made a lot of money.
Yep.
And so that puts him in a different position, maybe almost from what he's willing to accept coaching-wise, what he expects, which maybe led to this dust-up. Plus, Brett Bielema was a different type of cat, which probably led to this dust-up a little bit as well.
And also, almost every player I know, including myself, every player thinks they're better than what they are. And when you get to New England, they let you know that you're not that much more valuable than these other players. So for me, his versatility, it becomes somewhat of a liability because they got better outside rushers than him. And they're inside guys, they don't need inside rushers. They got those two big linebackers if they want to get a rush from it. So for me, this is a situation that we need to watch, all right? Belichick has shown when he benched Butler that I will bench a good player, regardless if we think it's conventional wisdom, but what's best for the team long term.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.